today's session. Hello everyone. I welcome you all to the second session on bioinformatics for genomic medicine. So today we will talk about how can a bioinformatics help us to diagnose and treat infectious disease. Here we will go through the topics like precision medicine virology, finding genomic data from epidemic outbreak and research projects, that is genomic sequencing and GIS data, then phylogenetic and multiple sequence alignment, and we will perform downstream analysis of the genomic data like differential mutation, data mining, or the association with the phenotype. So before moving to the today's session, so let's learn what we have learned in yesterday's session. So yesterday we talked about history of the genomics data, and then we have learned about different omics layers from the NGS, like phenomics, genomics, epigenetics, transcriptomics, etc. And then we have learned what are the factors that contribute to make a data into a big data. Then we look at what were the resources that are available for these big data. And then we have gone through and learn about our T Bioinfo analytical platform, where we have observed how we can analyze the big data in a simplest manner. In the later session, we talk about a course that is Introduction to the Bioinformatics, and we have gone through its curriculum. And then we have observed how the big data can play a vital role in different healthcare applications or any other environmental application or translational fields. So then we have also talk about what are different assignments, the quizzes that you can complete, and ultimately you can complete a coursework, and then you can get a certificate. So let me ask some questions. So if you can answer them. So where do you go to find courses and the project included with this platform? So so you can find all this information or the course related information at the our T-Bioinfo platform, and in the course is available all the courses related to this program, whether it's introduction to bioinformatics, introduction to genomics, introduction to metagenomics. So next, where do you go with your questions about the course material? If you have any questions, so you can go to the forum, and where you can ask your questions related to this T-Bioinfo platform and regarding this session.
Harpreet, sorry. So whenever you ask the question, people will be answering in the chat. So please check the chat. They will be telling you their answer.
Okay, let me just, okay. Okay. I think I just, fine. So yes, course program is available at this course material, and you can ask your questions at the forum. Then where you can find this course material? So next questions, where do you find courses and other project related information? Sorry. Okay, so where do you go to see the list sessions for the program in a T-Bioinfo platform? So it's at the menu you will find under this calendar. So you get complete program information here. So how can I try to run analysis of a big data? Whether it's a platform, MS Excel, Google Drive, or the Zoom. Yes, this is the server T Info platform that you can run a pipeline. So just this platform is available on registration and you can perform your analysis at this platform. So far after yesterday's session, we were checking on the progress. So the most important part of any program is active participation of the participants. So here we have noted the most of peoples are participating and the progress is very good progress, and we will like to congratulate every one of you. And we have observed different participants have completed very good education scores, and this leaderboard is showing their education points. And then we have noted that there are some of the participants like Adeloy Fever has already completed the 3 courses under this program, and beside him there is Oliza. She has also completed her 3 courses, and another participant, that Akim, he has also completed 2 courses under this program. And we would like to congratulate 3 of you and ask the other participants, please actively participate. And this session's work is not only good enough for you to learn about big data, so you have to find independent time, and you can go through these courses, and please take these courses, and so that you can understand big data in a better perspective. So now question arises, why we need bioinformatics for infectious disease? As all we know, year 2020 is witness of one of the major pandemic, that is COVID-19 or coronavirus. So if I talk about the only today's stats, we are about to touch almost 30 million cases, and nearly 1 million deaths are due to the COVID-19. So almost across all the countries across globe has affected by this pandemic, that is started from small infection to become a pandemic. This is not just COVID-19. There are in the history there are various other viral infections that contributes like in the history, that is Spanish flu in that is almost a century ago. That is one of the major pandemic. Then the other epidemics are like in almost 2 decades ago it was a SARS, and then almost a decade ago it was a MERS, and in the year 2013 to 2016 it's about Ebola. And then during the 2015 to 2016, it was the Zika virus with epidemics. And all these infectious diseases are responsible for the different halts in our population, and it affect life of everybody. So let's look at the mechanism of any viral infection. So I'm here taking example of SARS-CoV-2. So exactly whenever a viral infect a person, how exactly this infection goes through and what mechanism it follow. Just look at like a SARS-CoV-2, which protein is a main virus, which has a protein that is spike2. When it binds to one of the receptor ACE2 on our human cells, and it binds to the receptor, this protein binds with the receptor, and this binding leads to its endocytosis into the cell. Once it gets endocytosed by the cell, so the virus starts releasing its viral genome. So on releasing the viral genome, there is a translation of viral protein, viral RNA, viral polymerase protein, that results in the RNA replications from these viral genomes. So once these proteins get transcribed, so we have various other proteins are also start getting translated, like nucleocapsid, spike membrane, and invac proteins. So then after that mRNA transcription, then it start translating into form of a protein, and some of the proteins are getting to so when finally these proteins start into enter into the this released from the endoplasmic reticulum, and it forms a nucleocapsid. So in the nucleocapsid, various then viral genome get fused with, and it finally generate a formation of a mature virion particle. Once virion particle is formed, and it get released out of the cell through the process that is called exocytosis. So in this way, various uh, entities of these virus continuously start replicating and start increasing into our human system. So this is how a viral start its infection. So then how we can, this NGS, that is next generation sequencing, can help you understanding this viral replication, its mechanism, about its analysis. So Pine Biotech offering a platform that help you to analyze a viral genome, and so look at how exactly you can analyze a viral genome. So once if there is any infection or any viral outbreak happens, so this can be sequenced by two methods, whether one is Sanger method or the NGS method. So in the Sanger method, you just take the sample. First you take the sample direct from the clinical specimen. So once you have the sample, you can amplify these samples and using selective primers that can are very selective for particular virus sequences. And then you can run and analyze a single sequence at a time. And then you can infer its relatedness via partial view of the viral genome. And this is just the Sanger method. So, and how NGS is actually contributing. So it doesn't it's not only takes the viral genome, it takes any genome that is present in this particular clinical specimen, and it could be human, bacterial, and viral. So once then it sequences all the DNA and RNA in a sample, and then it aligns the reads on a virus reference sequence genome. So if a virus reference sequence genome is not available, the second method by which it can sequence a genome, that is by de novo assembly method, and it filter out before this sequencing, you always filter out non-viral reads. Once you have this align these reads to the virus genome or by de novo assembly, so finally you can generate whole virus genome coverage and compare among the sample. This is how it happens in the NGS technique. So this is very important part, that is you before this alignment, you always filter out non-viral reads, because it automatic filter out this part. So this is how we have obtained our overall genome using this NGS. So you have aligned different reads, and these reads can be aligned to reference genome using various methods, like it could be by a Batai or star aligner. It could be, if you want to learn about those alignment methods, you can take transcriptomics first course, and you will learn about how a sequence is raw sequence reads are aligned to the genome, and what are the methods that are available. So this is how the different proteins that are actually sequenced on a genome, and you finally can find out. So what are different file formats that are used in the NGS data analysis? So there are the main three formats: FASTQ, FASTA, and GTF. So the FASTQ format, it is mainly contain the raw reads that we have obtained from the sequencing, and it also contain a quality score correspond to each nucleotide sequence. So this is like a text format file, and it just give you the information related to the reads and its quality score. The second format, that is FASTA format, which is also used for this DNA and the protein. In the first case is a greater than sign. At the first line greater than sign, then you usually a species or genome name is defined, and then the complete sequence is followed by this particular information. This is the FASTA format, and usually the FASTA format is used for either to represent our DNA, RNA, as well as in fact a protein. And once the sequence alignment, so once you get have different reads, that is from the FASTQ files, so then this is how alignment is actually happening. So in this way, different reads are aligned, and this can be done by different methods. So till now, if you have any question, I can take you before proceed further. So if somebody have questions. So, okay, if you have no questions, so I can go ahead. So what are different resources that are available for the viral genomic data? So one of the major resource that is available at the NCBI. So let me just go to this site. So yes, so this is the main NCBI virus genome sequence, and you can obtain the sequences. You can search here by sequences, or you have information related to the viruses. So beside, if you suppose you are searching for a SARS-CoV-2 data, so this is you get this information here, and you get information related to
Harpreet,
various. Yes.
Harpreet, sorry, there are a couple of questions here in the chat box. Mohit
Okay.
and Bipsa, if you could please let her know also when questions are coming in.
Okay.
Yeah, sure, Ilya. Dr. Harpreet, there is a question from Bakare. Is there any
Okay.
significant difference to PCR?
In terms of what? In
Bakare,
comparison to, are you comparing with the NGS or something?
Yes,
What?
yes. PCR, how is it different from next generation sequencing?
Okay, so PCR you cannot, you need a primers always. So the best thing about the NGS, even you can analyze unknown data or unknown kind of sequence, so which is doesn't know. So in PCR you usually always need a primers, and that are always designed for a particular sequence, right?
And also the scale at which you can do this.
Yeah, PCR you can always, you need a very small samples, I think, and NGS can be performed. I think it's a large genome. You can analyze a large genome. In PCR, I think it's not possible. So usually you do PCR for particular gene. Sometimes kind of very small sequences. Okay, so this is the resource, and you can download the sequence data from this particular COVID-19 related. So then next, back to the presentation. This is the major resource.
Harpreet, one second, Harpreet. There are another 2 questions in the chat. Could you please
Okay.
review those before you go on?
Okay.
yeah. So another question is from Iodale. Who does the genome sequence for the SARS-CoV-2? Is it also the work of a bioinformatician?
Actually, when it's not just a bioinformatics. I think that both the peoples are involved, even the BET lab and as well. This is the bioinformatics. Ultimately, the alignment is will be done by obviously a bioinformatics technician. So, but you need the raw reads and the raw data that must be done by a BET lab person. So it is like if you have those sequences, so then how to align them and find a final genome, that is obviously done by a bioinformatics approach. Yes. So both the peoples are involved. So should I go if
Yes, there is a few more questions. Could you please give a description on
there is
NGS
no
again
any
from
question?
Adimola
Go
Adimola?
ahead. Okay.
If you could please give a description on NGS again.
Okay. So it is like next generation sequencing data. So let me just go to this slide. Okay. Okay. So here you obtain of once you have the sequences, genome, DNA, RNA complete from different sample. So you sequence all these DNA and the RNA. So once you get sequence, then you get the reads. Then you got the reads. So it's like you got in the FASTQ files. Once you have those sequences, and it's like once DNA, this DNA or RNA is actually break into the small kinds of segments. It's like uh, 30 to 20 to 30 base pairs if you're doing a small sequencing kind of reads. So it's people are also do the long that is kind 200 base pairs. So once you have those reads and then you align on a reference genome, one is this option. The second is usually this is kind of de novo assembly. So it's like you take the multiple reads and then you try to figure out which are reads that are getting actually overlapping in which are the sequences or nucleotide which are getting actually overlapping. So like here we have that this read, so the other read is this. So in this is like so you try to find always the overlapping sequence after removing these adapters and or adapters kind of thing. So finally you start assembling based on their overlapping sequences, and finally you assemble this. This is a de novo method. Otherwise, if already reference genome is available, you can usually follow that procedure as well. So finally you generate a whole genome sequence. I hope you understand.
There is another question from Felix Shima. Do we need primers in NGS?
Uh, Usually it is not important, but yeah, sometimes people even do primers, but yeah, even you can do without primers. It's not a kind, it's here we need adapters, more adapters.
Okay, just a follow-up question from Nancy. From your presentation, it shows that PCR doesn't precede NGS as in Sanger sequencing.
No, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. The question,
Well, okay, so she's referring to what you have here on the left. You have primers. So in Sanger sequencing, a major step is first of all knowing which parts of the full genome are being sequenced. So you have a library that tells you where each sequence is going to come from. In next generation sequencing, the approach is called shotgun sequencing. Shotgun sequencing means that all of RNA material, if you're doing transcriptomic, or all of DNA material, if you're talking about genomics, is being shattered into short pieces and sequenced. After sequencing, there's an additional process of mapping the genome back to the reference so that you know where those individual short reads came from. Now, it's important to understand that this is in the context of viral genomes. If you take a sample, let's say a patient's blood, and you want to understand if there's specific viruses, so you're not going to be looking for the host RNA, you're not going to be looking for bacterial RNA, you're not going to be looking for any other kind of genomic material, you want to specifically amplify viral sequences. So that's why you see here that first of all, there is a mix of human, bacterial, flora, and virus RNA or DNA. And in the case of next generation sequencing, the nice approach is that you can directly take all of those sequences and map them onto a database, similar to what Harpreet will show you in a few slides, a database like NCBI virus. It contains all of the known sequences of viruses, and so you can map onto the full database. Or if you're looking for presence or absence of a particular virus, you can specifically map onto that genome to explore whether any of this material maps onto that information. And about filtering non-viral reads, if you map on a particular type of a genome, automatically any other sequences that don't map with a high quality will not be included. However, there are multiple types of preparation techniques that could eliminate, for example, human-specific sequences and amplify specific signals coming from, for example, translated genes. So those would be specific adapters that there are libraries for, and in the downstream analysis, many times then those adapters would be considered at the pre-processing step. Yes, if you work with a clinical diagnostic lab and you want to detect viral sequences present in patients' samples, you can take directly from patients' blood or other types of material, nasal swabs or something else, and do sequencing of that material. Okay, so great questions. We will continue speaking about all of these as you will see in the next few slides. And also for more detailed discussion of next generation sequencing, we recommend Introduction to Genomics, Transcriptomics 1, and you will see there a much more detailed technical description of how that process is done. Now, PCR, there are two types of PCR that could be discussed in the context of sequencing. One type is when you specifically amplify using primers a particular type of a sequence. Another one is what's called bridge PCR amplification, which is actually a process of next generation sequencing itself. It happens once you already prepare the reads. It only amplifies the genetic material that is already in the flow cell. So once you have those short sequences short pieces of DNA, cDNA, those are amplified with bridge PCR amplification. And all of this is described in Introduction to Genomics. Maybe Beepsa, you could post the links.
Transcriptomics as well. So details of this NGS you can found in our other course, that is Transcriptomics 1. I think how you can analyze the data. So you can got details there. So if you are interested and learn deep, so I think Beepsa, you can also I think post of Transcriptomics 1 course as well, link of that course. I think if somebody want to learn about it. So let's go ahead. Okay. So far, how you can obtain a viral genome, so different repositories, especially the NCBI, and it has almost reference genome and even the new genome. So I think one person has one question. So it's not always compulsory that NGS is done for unknown sequence. Sometimes it is also in the reference, you require reference genome when you are doing for already known reference genomes. Before even for the unknowns sequencing analysis, we always go through whether it is belong to a particular species or particular strain. In case of a virus, so we always check whether it can be belong to any already available reference genome. That's why we use reference genome. So if that is not the case, if reference genome is not available, in that case we use this de novo assembly. So these are both the approaches. So it's not like if it's always done for unknown sequences. So that's why you do go the thing. So then move to so finally when you have genome, so you have obtained, you can upload these genome sequences in our T-bioinfo platform. So now how this T-bioinfo pipeline or platform helps you for the viral genome analysis. So here, if you go to this particular platform, you find a section that is dedicated to virology, and you find different kind of analysis here. So if you want to do any kind of viral genome analysis. So you can use this option, and this is available at T-Bioinfo platform. And so in the T-Bioinfo platform, so first of all, once you obtain a kind of genome, so what would be your next step? You first of, so you will, obviously you want to know, you want to visualize it. So T-Bioinfo platform is offer you a pipeline where you can directly, once you upload your files and you, then you map on a genome, and then you can visualize your genome. So it's like, so you can visualize your genome here in the browser. So this is how you can analyze this viral genome using a T-Bioinfo platform. That makes it very simple. So the other purpose, what other kind of analysis you can perform using this T-Bioinfo platform on the viral genomes. So it's kind of first, it give you option to do any kind of mutational analysis. And apart from that, you can also perform phylogenetic analysis. So question arises, what are the mutations and their importance in infectious disease? So any change at the genetic code label or the DNA that ultimately results into the mutations. And point mutation, when a change takes place at nucleotide site. So it could be it's a deletion, addition. So it can be like it can be one particular nucleotide sequence is transferred to some other nucleotide sequence. These kind of point mutation, where mutation is only occurring at one place or one nucleotide site. So the other case is recombination. Sometimes what happens, either it could be two viral genome. So viral genome recombined or mixed with some other genome. So in case, just imagine a person that have kind of two kind of viral infection. Sometimes recombination, it happens among them as well. So this is like the different kind of, and it the new strain that is kind of recombinant strain. So it could have both the characteristics, and it could be more lethal or deleterious kind of strain. So how, ultimately these mutation also change their biological functions. So for instance, one of the studies that is published in the Cell Reports in June 2016, and it indicated in the case of the Ebola virus, there are some of the mutation that ultimately results, or it ultimately increase the virus transmissibility, and it boosts its killing power. So this is how a virus, any mutations and these mutation results its deleterious kind of form. So this is important aspect. So in T-Bioinfo platform, you can perform a mutational analysis. So this is kind, here we have providing both the options. It is kind of point mutations, and the second, that is kind of more determinantal mutations. So it could be deletions. So in the point mutations, once you have the genome, you have already uploaded the files, and then you start a pipeline, and then you find various different point mutation tools. So depending on your kind of study, so you can choose that. And then, so if you want to analyze, kind of you want to check whether there is the kind of differential mutation analysis. So there are the different tools are also available to perform this differential mutation analysis. It could be diff mutation 1-to-1, then diff mutation many to many. So these kind of already we have provided these kind of tools within this pipeline. And the other pipeline, that is you called a different variant call, where you have find deletions. So this is how you can perform a mutation analysis without any background of this bioinformatics. You should have, you know, what kind of analysis you are going to done. And so this is very simplest tool, and this is how you can done it here. So these are the SNP. So SNPs are when there is a single nucleotide polymorphism. So this is how even the different strains are derived, and it ultimately results in various biological functions. So it alters the biological functions based on these SNPs. So this is the kind of point mutations from where it is actually when there are multiple genomes, and only the modification is only at a single nucleotide. So it is how these mutations and generated in different viral strains. Sometimes it result a very deleterious effects. So any question regarding this? So I can go to chat. So if you have any questions so far, so that I can proceed further, otherwise. Okay, so if there is no question, so let me proceed further. So, okay, the next kind of analysis that you can perform, that is like phylogenetic analysis. So this is very important when you want to understand if any new strain came and you want to understand exactly which category it belongs or which species it belongs. So usually your first step you do is like you perform phylogenetic analysis. So you understand what kind of similarity that already with the already existing strains. So here you need a NGS reads data first, then you alignment on the reference genome. So then based on you generate your haplotype and consensus, and then you perform multiple sequence alignment, and finally different phylogenetic uh, uh, tools that generate a phylogenetic tree. So for the evolutionary model. So how you can do this on our T-Bioinfo platform? So it is here in the especially in this platform. So once you have files, uploaded files, and then you can perform this generate haplotypes, and then you can generate a phylogenetic trees. Ultimately you this all phylogeny methods generate multiple trees, and I will give demo as well of this part. And then tree space, exactly it filter out choose the best tree that is built about, because all phylogen method usually generate multiple trees for every combination. So tree space ultimately filter out the best one. So ultimately you can and so let's go to this. Let's perform me this demo. This is available at our platform. So I think there are some questions.
Briefly, to address the question about, how to actually get the data, first of all, right? So right here, what you see is Harpreet filtered out all of the sequences to only sequences from SARS-CoV-2. Harpreet, if you could go for a second into sequence type in the filters. No, go back to where you were on NCBI.
Okay.
On NCBI.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Yes.
Okay, so on sequence type, on the filters,
Oh, just
on the left side, the
okay.
filters. Yep,
Sequence type.
sequence type. Okay, so in here you only have one reference. You can see RefSeq is only one. So that is the reference sequence for the SARS-CoV-2 genome. And if you want to align to some particular reference genome, you would want to use that sequence. Now let's imagine you want to do a study that compares sequences between, let's say, Africa, some country in Africa, let's say Nigeria, and let's say China. So now you can scroll down. First of all, look at nucleotide completeness filter. Here you would like to select only the complete sequences, which is 15,957 sequences.
You can also choose a geographic reasons.
Exactly. So you would select from here a certain number of sequences and then download them. For example, in Africa, you have 236. In Asia, you have many more. So from Asia, you could select China. Eventually, you will end up with a FASTA file. The FASTA file contains all of these genomic sequences. Now you can continue, Harpreet, to your demo of how to do
Okay.
phylogenetic analysis.
Okay. So So this is on our T1 platform. So there is the area. So this is the option area. If you go under this option, that is area of analysis. So you find many options. So it's like NGS data that is under the transcriptome series, then mass spec structure biology. So there is one option that is virology. So under the virology, I am choosing these demo. So first I am choosing demo virus, MSC and the phyloxera. So I am choosing this option. So yeah, here you can see, you can do the mutation analysis as well as the phylogeny analysis. So let's start. So once you start, you know, there are the different input files, like we are here comparing these four files or four sequences, that is beta co FASTA, COVID-19, MERS FASTA, then one is for the other group, that is COVID-19. We are taking this some other. So you select OK. So once I select OK, so the next option, because this mutation analysis usually takes a raw, that is taking a FASTQ file. So here I have already used the FASTA file. So for this mutation analysis, I can perform with that. So I am going to this phylogeny. So here, first of all, we have the next option that is given, that is we have to apply multiple sequence alignments. So once you switch on this option and click, and you get various sequence get aligned, and these are different files that get aligned, and then you can click on OK. So in the second, then you apply the multiple sequence alignment amino acids. So here the different codons, amino acids are available. So then we can check what kind of files we are getting. Here we are getting files for the group 1 and the group B, that ref MSA files. So then we can choose the select codon positions. So this option available if you want to change this different codons. So this makes ultimately codons and amino acids. So just look at, after selecting the codon positions, so then I can go to perform all phylogeny methods. So as I already told you, this method actually perform then create various types of the phylogeny tree. So as a tree develop different, almost design different phylogenetic trees. So I can select it, and then the tree space actually that filter out the best phylogeny tree. So now we can end it here. So yes, okay. So once you run this pipeline, you get your output in the download pipeline output. So here you will obtain a various types of ultimate results from this analysis. So this is kind of different trees you can go through. So just let me check this. It's generally proceed for further, we can analyze this results, so that we will cover in the next session. So how all these files contain what kind of data and exactly what you are doing. And here important point to be noted, MS is performed using this cluster W. So this is how you can perform a complicated or complex analysis in a simple steps. And if you want to understand why you're doing that, you have to go through these courses. So finally, so if you have any question regarding anything, so let me just go to chat box. Okay. So yes, the next things that we will do in the next session, and we will explain what is the outcome that you can obtain exactly. So for instance, like, so this is how this is for the phylogenetic tree for a Ebola strain. So this is how you can compare whether your strain belong to particular category, even if you have a new strain or new data. So this is how you can compare it. It belong to which category. So if anything else. So yeah, now I look at these questions. Okay, so if you want to understand, yes, some of the things like what is these phylogenetic and analysis and related to these things, if you are not familiar, you can take the course on the metagenomics, and it will explain you a lot of things. You will understand a lot of things. So if you have problem related with this, okay. So if you have any want to understand this NGS technique in detail, so you can take transcriptomic courses. So for instance, in the transcriptomics one, you can understand this NGS in a very in a complete manner. So if I suggesting you these two courses. So now I would like to pass uh, this session to Dr. Mohit, so that he can explain further you where we can proceed.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Harpreet, for this session. And how's everyone? So I think there are some questions that I would like to address, but I would like to ask everyone first whether they want me to repeat some of it, like if you have the pipeline maybe. Is it clear for everyone? So it's clear means so if it is no, it means that it's not clear, so I should repeat it, right? Right. So okay. So right now we will be not showing exactly how to download the data, but I can show you the data that is already being there, like the demo pipeline with which we would want you to start understanding about the analysis. So let's just start with that. Let me share my screen. Right. Yeah. 1 second. So I will come to this later, the resources that I was talking to you about in the chat, but to the pipeline itself and the coronavirus analysis that is there in the, sorry about this, it's like really slow. So can you guys see my screen? Is it visible? Is it visible now? Okay.
Yes.
So here, let's just kind of look at an overview because as I told you in the session before earlier, that we did a complete program on SARS-CoV-2 data analysis, and maybe we can send the details to have more of only SARS-CoV-2 data analysis. But let's do this again and let's understand why we are doing this. So the pipeline that we showed you today is in this section. virus quasi-species. So 1 second. So here, if you can see this arrow, down arrow, if you can, just scroll to this portion of this page under the section virology, you will find this pipelines. There are two pipelines. So the first pipeline is demovirus, MSA, and phylogeny. So let's click on that. So right here, you can see that, yeah, you can actually follow me with this entire thing if you can log in. So here you can find the details that Dr. Harpreet just, told us about the virus variant pipelines. So all the details, you can find it here. So it's a good read. Please go through this once we are done, and also if now. So here we have two big sections, right? So beneficial, detrimental mutations and deletions, and then virus, quasi-species, and their phylogeny. So what we are seeing is a section that has to do with identification of point mutations, and then building consensus conserved genomes within a FASTQ file. So if you have some FASTQ files, meaning that you have those raw data, right? So from patients, for example, you will be able to use this section in red. If you have only assembled genomes, so the genomes that you saw on NCBI were the assembled genomes. So we looked into the complete genomes, as Ilya told. So assembled genomes are FASTA files. You will be able to use this in this blue section. So what we have here is we have to first upload our data by pressing on start. Okay, so we will be using this section where we will be doing multiple sequence alignment, and we will be, then converting it into amino acids and then codons, and then we will do phylogenetic analysis of those complete genomes. So in this example, what we have done is, like, let's do this. Let's push on start. So in here, you will find the examples, the FASTA files of these genomes. So you can see that the question that you asked, that the question, what is the question that we are addressing? The question that we are addressing is that we are comparing these 4 genomes. So there's a reference genome, and also there is beta coronavirus 1, the COVID-19, MERS, and SARS. So now this is the next thing that I see. For example, when you kind of, trying to do what we are trying to do is to generate a phylogenetic tree, right? So that we can see that how these strains or how these different viruses are, how they are related to each other. So we are also looking at maybe variation changes at a genomic level, at a DNA level. So we are going to do all those analysis by, completing this pipeline. So we want to go step by step in a step-by-step manner. So the first step was to do the start. The second step is to do the sequence alignment. So, so these are FASTA files, right? So we cannot do anything with reads. So as we don't have reads, we don't have to map those to the assembly. So what we are doing is that we are directly doing multiple sequence alignment. Multiple sequence alignment is basically, the process of comparing sequences. And then we have to convert the multiple sequence alignment from the nucleotide level to the amino acid level, right? So amino acid level. So we will do that in the next step. So I will click in the next box. So you will see, we know there are like 20 amino acids having different properties. and changes from one property to other have greater significance than chances within the same chemical group. So there are, groups. So polar uncharged and non-polar are some of the examples that you can see, but you can classify amino acids into several categories. But in today's session, we are not going to do that biochemistry session. I'm pretty sure that most of you are aware of it, but you can always, go to the internet and check. There are a lot of information, great books. So moving on, and then we also have to select the codons, right? So we are looking at changes from amino acid. We are looking at changes in terms of their codon position. And then after that, we can either select one of these trees. So we can select one of these trees, which we will be able to do once we have once we have the phylogenetic methods. So all the phylogenetic methods will basically are included in this one option. So all of these methods you can run at once using this option. So let's select that. So all of them at once, we are generating a lot of trees. So I said there are many different ways because there are a lot of different algorithms here, right? That you can see. So talking about algorithms, so there are many different ways to do phylogenetic analysis. They are designed for different purposes. BEAST here, so the BEAST algorithm here, it uses the BEAST algorithm uses the Bayesian analysis model. That model represents that model represents evolutionary processes. So we will look into at some of those. There are at least 3 that we would want to look at, and then this process will actually build the phylogenetic tree and analyze all the trees and find the best tree. So I'm talking about tree space. So after doing this all methods, this tree space as described by Dr. Harpreet is an algorithm that actually looks into all the trees and gives you some of the best trees. So this is the complete the pipeline that you can do on your own and play with the results. So we would want you to explore the results on your own. So let's see what you can find, and in the next session do tell us like what you find, and then we will have that hands-on session that is planned on COVID-19, where we will do a lot of other analysis together. So by that time we would want you to get familiarized with this and also learn about the resources. So introduction to metagenomics, introduction to genomics. And I am really glad to got a lot of entries on introduction to bioinformatics forum. So thank you for completing the first course. And we have received a lot of information for those who have completed the course. So I'm really delighted to have a lot of PhDs amongst us. And I hope that we can collaborate together and work on a research problem. And all of us maybe can work on some of the research problems moving ahead with all this knowledge. So once you do this on like hands-on practice, because you have the access and it's available all the time. So I think we can do that, and then we will look into the results. So in the next session, we'll start with the results and we'll discuss who have not finished and what you have found. So as you saw earlier, so you will, in this process, you will find this output. So I'm not going to discuss this today, as I want you to go ahead and see the different processes like birth, death, and there are different algorithms. So if you can go ahead and read something about those as well. But to do that, like if you need some assistance, I'll be helping you with that. So going back to the presentation. So I have a few assignments for you. So the first assignment is to complete the introduction to genomics course, right? And then go through one resource that I'm going to share with you. So virology genomic resource. This is an excellent resource that we have compiled sometimes ago. And also there are some other resources that I wanted to share with faculty who have joined us for this program. This is about transcriptomics. We just started a program today on transcriptomics data analysis. So this is for faculty or people who are interested in teaching to teach transcriptomics. So let's look at those, and I'll tell you where they are so that you can easily find them. And also let me look at the chat. So if you have someone. Right. So let's go to the resources. So let's go to the forum first. I want to see what's going on there. So, okay, there's some new topics. I need help. So let's see what help. How can we help? So Ini is asking, where can I find the assignments on the course I have taken? So the assignments are there in the course itself, the quizzes sometimes, and not all of the courses have assignments. The advanced courses will have hands-on tutorials and assignments. But today, as I told you, that you have a few assignments to do. So one of the assignment is to go through the things that we have gone through today, the pipeline. If you can, try that out, and then go through. You all have access to this forum, right? So please come on the forum and post your queries. And at the same time, like, we would like to know the feedback. If you have something that you would like to tell us that you would want to, improve on. So here, I mean, I have posted two topics in the forum. The first one is about this session. So infectious diseases is the title of today's session. So you will find this topic here, and when you go in, you will find my post here. So there's a blog post, virology genomic resources. So if I open this one, it's a huge file. So here we have described the COVID outbreak. It's an article where we started with telling you about, how this thing has changed, like how this in entire 3-4 months, there is a huge data explosion that happened with COVID-19. When COVID-19 came, all the laboratories around the world started working on it and started to generate so much of data. And then there is this really amazing, interactive browser. So I think I should go and, show you. So Virus Explorer, it's just for very basic stuff. I mean, even for it actually meant for kids to learn, but I really like it because there's a lot of information here that you will find about these viruses graphically, and you can play around with the 3D structure. I mean, not the structure, but like the entire structure of the virus, whatever is known. So it's a very interactive kind of place to learn about the viruses. So you also have Ebola here, right? So it will tell you about the outbreak that happened in Africa in 1976, but also about 2014, and tell you about the geographical locations specifically. And there is a lot of other information that you can look up into this site, but it's mostly about, primary information. So someone who wants to start with and have an understanding of these viruses can, check this out to start with. It's just a very basic stuff. So once you start with that, we here are describing the public repository. So I heard like the people are asking that how to start the analysis, the data analysis from public repositories. So as you know, this is big data, right? And big data means big resources. So each of the experiment that you will plan would require a significant amount of resource. So we have to plan this in a process. So we plan it through proposals, and that we will talk about after the program. But during the program, we will be utilizing the resources that are associated with the program. So, but you can learn about the public repositories and resources in depth here, because everything is listed out and also described. So it's just not listed out, it also describes that where is what and where you can find things. So GIS AID is a very popular repository. And then you will find about the transcriptomics data. So here we are looking at the genomic data. Here on NCBI GEO, you will find the transcriptomic data related to virology, and also very interesting, data sets that is described as an example. So you can check out this specific data set, which is also an interesting, there's an interesting correlation here that is described. There's a correlation between circular RNA and the MERS-CoV-2 infections. So yeah, there is another repository called Viper. Then it talks about the TBioInfo platform and the TBioInfo sections, which can be used for virology. So RNA-seq can be used to learn about the transcriptome or the gene expression of the host at the time of infection and all those studies. And then there are the sections that we described today, like phylogenetic analysis, which is like the very first thing that you would do with a research like this. So there are more complex tools like modeling of viral replication and infection processes. These includes like network modeling. This includes like simulations of those mathematical models. So this is like advanced. And then we have a section on GFP signal and microscopy data as well. So that can be utilized for certain studies. And then we have structural studies that can, once you have the mutations, how do you map out to the structures? Usually we go to tools also available online. So the popular tools. So it's just not limited to TBioInfo platform, but it's also about to have a complete research. So we start from sequence, and then we move to function and understanding all those annotation and deriving to those conclusive things, and also look for structural aspects. So what is available structurally and how do you correlate there? So we use Chimera and PyMol. Those are very popular softwares that uses this 3D structure rendering and gives you real insights into three-dimensional structure. And then moving on, there is this very good site that you all should go in. This is like the best, one of the best thing in virology resources. And I think most of the researchers are using this portal. So let me share this as well. But you have this entire article with you, so you will be able to have all of this anyways. And it's also posted in the forum, so everyone can find it. So next train, I think I should give you a small demonstration because it's like really graphical. So this is like tells you a lot about SARS-CoV-2 because it maps out the geographical locations and the sequences. So you get the sequences, you get the mutations. Also, it shows you the mutations. It's a great place to, just come and see in here and you will learn so much. So if I start here, it starts from 27th November 2019, and the genome sequences from there and their distribution. So you can just play this and see how it all started from the beginning. So you can also change the date ranges here and also play with the way this maps out to your area only. If you're interested in how it spreads in Africa, you can see that also in terms of these dates and the genome sequences that were sequenced at that time. So you can play around with that, and if you have any questions, we will address that in the next session. But I think it's quite self-explanatory, and you'll find all this information here. And I might also share an article maybe tomorrow for you to review before the next session. But it's a great place to come and see and learn. So this is the place where you will find this article, and there are a few things that I would also like to add, because there are a lot of links that I've added towards the end of this article, where you have all network analysis tools. So let me just quickly go there. So we covered this, and then this and this one. This is the network phylogenetic network analysis of 160 SARS-CoV-2 genome, and another development from Tauber Bioinformatics Research Center and Pine Biotech is this Sequence Nav. Sequence Nav is another great visualization tool, which we will talk about more in the next session. So that you can explore in the next session, in the next demonstration session. So COVIS and other resources. So there are several resources, and also the Bioinformatics for Infectious Diseases, program. So this is a program that we are doing with several universities and also online. So so we will be sending you the recorded video. So as I was telling you about, the Bioinformatics for Infectious Disease is a program that covers all of these aspects, and very specialized programs on genomics, for infectious diseases, and covers all the aspects, all the omics in looking into these, epidemics and pandemics and epidemics. So another resource that I wanted to talk to you about was the faculty teaching resource. So this is also posted in the forum. So if you want to see, you can go through this, that how these 4 courses are structured, so that can be taught in several modules to different students from different backgrounds. So please find these resources and complete some of the assignments, so that we can progress well for the next session. So the next session will be about genomic medicine in and post COVID-19, and I've already told you the glimpses of what it will be about. So I think many of you will come back and join for the last session of this short program, and utilize the resources that we discussed today in today's session. I'm hoping that this entire session was helpful for you, and I'm looking forward to for the questions that you might have now, and also your feedback. So yeah. Okay, I see there are no questions, and there is like pin drop silence. What's up, guys? Do we also have get a copy of the group chat? Yeah, so regarding that, we are kind of compiling the questions, and we will be posting this information also into the forum. So we would want to keep everything in the forum so that everyone gets everything at one place. So that's one of the objective, and we will try to do that as soon as possible as well by tomorrow. Yeah. So I got a comment saying there was a lot of information for this session, and I know that it's a lot of information, but it's a short program, so we do want you to go through some of the content after the session. So it's just not about the session, so you can just, because it's recorded, you can review it later at a slower pace and look at the resources that I discussed at your own, taking your own time. And the next session is on Friday. So tomorrow is that there is no session, so that's why we discussed a lot of resources in this session, so that you will use this time. So we have a Wednesday, Thursday, and then on Friday we have the session again at 6:30 p.m. So I think there's a lot of time for you to go through the sessions. And we have a webinar coming up, a free webinar at 2 p.m. On Thursday. So if you guys are interested, we'll be happy to send you the invites for that. So please let me know if you're interested or not for that. It would be about the next program that would be on, so maybe I can show you some of those details as well. Deepsha, if you can.
Yes, Mohit. I have posted the link in the chat. So if anyone is interested, they can sign up via the link.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and you should be receiving the Zoom link to join this session on Thursday. And we will be having the session at 3 p.m. West African time. So you can
No,
see.
Deepsha, I think it's 3 p.m., right? It's 3 p.m.
Yes, it's 3 p.m. West African time. If you
Right.
have a
So
problem, then you can let me know.
yeah, so this is the free session that we have on Thursday. So it will be about the next program that we are going to start in collaboration with Leeds City University and MedLab Convo. So the next program will be about NGS. So as I told you that we'll be covering a lot from, a lot about the basic courses like transcriptomics. In that we will go through transcriptomics and machine learning. So it will start from, so we will go through this on the next session, but it'll start on 5th October, and the sessions will conclude on 16th, but we will have the bioinformatics 15-day bioinformatics project after that. So it's 1 month program. So we'll be discussing this in the later session, but for today, I would like to thank you all for joining today's session. And I think that was, if you have any questions, of course, you can reach out to us. And it was nice to see you all. Thank you.
If I may add, um, for everyone who cannot find any of the courses or links for me, the easiest way to search is just type marketing@pine.bio in your email inbox and search for all the mails that have been sent from marketing@pine.bio. So that way, even if you have missed any email and they have landed up in your spam box or any other boxes, it will show up for you. And please check all of your emails, because I have already forwarded you. Even you have a list of all the resources that you get access to as part of the program. So continue to check your email. If you do not have something, then let me know. Sometimes email can also land up in your promotional tabs or the spam boxes. So be sure to check there as well. And also the T-Bio-Info access. So all of you have T-Bio-Info access. Confirm with me that you have that. You can write back to me that yes, I got it. Thank you, Mohit. You can continue.
Yeah, Beepsha. So before we conclude, I would also like to invite Dr. Adikunle for his remarks. So I think we have to unmute him. He's having some problem, I guess. Beepsha, can you see that? If you can unmute. Yeah, he's here. So hello, Adikunle, how are you? And I would like to hear about what you think about today's session and the resources that that we discussed.
Hello, Rohit, and good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for the session for today. I would just like to speak more to the resources shared. I've seen a number of persons come up with questions or concerns regarding some confusions regarding the pace at which the program is going. I'd like to say that a lot has been, compressed into this 1 week program, and which is the reason why a lot of resources were being shared. However, all the participants have between now and Thursday or even Friday, the next session, to go through all of the resources. I will strongly recommend that we do that, just like we saw from the leaderboard that was shared earlier in the session today. Some individuals have gone ahead to engage and interacted with the resources on the course pages. So, and they were able to build their points. So I want to encourage everyone, please interact with the resources shared, especially the blog and on the blog, as well as the previous video sessions. I must say, during my own time, I often, depend, greatly on the video sessions, which I have to go through subsequently, going through the step-by-steps of the things that were being taught. And that way I'm able to lay my hands on this. And that is the reasons we all have access to the server. All of the sessions, all of the steps that were shown in today's session, tomorrow you could also go back using the video to also, lay your hands on practicing those demo pipelines. And at that point, if you're having any challenge, just post on the forum page, and any of the mentors will be able to respond to our questions. So that is the encouragement I want to give every one of us, so that by the next session, we'll be much more on the same page, when we are having the lab, the hands-on laboratory session promised by Dr. Mohit. That will be all from my end for today. Thank you to our speakers and facilitators. Thank you.
Thank you, Adikunle. Thank you so much. And again, I would like to thank everyone for joining today's session, and we'll be looking forward to see you all on Friday. Have a nice rest of the day, and see you soon.